Hi there, I'm Ruth Akolache, and today we'll be talking about TikTok's algorithmic feed. This is going to be a design basis analysis of attention maximization. So what are we going to look at exactly? We're going to look at TikTok, the algorithm, and the ethical implications of that. Then we're going to look at this through the lens of design basis, looking at the frame, preferences, alternatives, and the amount of knowledge that we have. And then we're going to analyze this through the lens of the ethics theory based on lecture 3 and 4 concepts. What exactly is TikTok? It's a short-form video social media app that allows for users to post videos from 15 seconds to about 10 minutes or even longer for users with a notoriety on the app. Its target users are basically Gen Z and millennials, with over 60% of users on the app being under 30. For context, the videos posted on the app are under the category of entertainment, creativity, community building, and trend discovery. And its core feature is its AI-powered For You page that has highly personalized algorithmic feed. The platform has over 1.7 billion active global users as of 2024, and the average amount of time that is spent on the app every day by each user is around 95 minutes. Why exactly is this problematic? The algorithmic feed design raises serious ethical concerns because it leads to behavioral addiction. Dopamine-driven infinite scroll features create compulsive usage patterns, especially in adolescents. This then leads to mental health impacts, and the platform is linked to increased anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia, and other things through the comparison culture that it creates. It also builds filter bubbles and enhances polarization because the algorithm shows you or reinforces your existing beliefs, creating echo chambers and reducing your exposure to diverse viewpoints, which means that you're also more likely to increase the spread of misinformation because viral algorithmic content prioritizes engagement over accuracy, allowing for misinformation to spread more quickly. The lecture 2 and 3 concepts here then are on the attention economy, dark patterns, and the willful evil. Now, the design basis analysis. Let's look at the frame here. What exactly is TikTok trying to achieve? What are they trying to do? They're trying to maximize user engagement, create the most personalized content discovery experience for you, build global entertainment, and capture market share from competitors. What is missing here is user autonomy is not taken into consideration, mental health protection is not considered, information equality and access are not importantly considered, and the long-term societal impact, unfortunately, is also not considered. This reflects techno-solutionism and the attention economic drivers as we discussed in lecture 3. So, what exactly are the preferences that different stakeholders do have in this instance? Engineers, for example, want to optimize recommendation accuracy and maximize click-through rates, while UI designers want a frictionless experience and viral sharing features. Executives, on the other hand, want user growth, ad revenue, market dominance, and shareholder value. The core values here reflect everything apart from user well-being and ethical concerns. What alternatives could have been considered or were considered but ignored? TikTok chose everything but a chronological feed option, manual control of videos, which they did have in the beginning, but are gradually replacing with auto-scroll, time-based usage warnings, content diversity requirements, transparent algorithmic controls, age-appropriate defaults, and anti-addiction features. These choices reflect the move fast and break things narrative and attention maximization imperative. The states of knowledge during this period. So what exactly did designers, engineers know at a point in time when this was being designed? Around 2016-2018, which were the early days of TikTok, what was known was social media engagement tactics, recommendation systems, and viral content patterns. Unfortunately, the mental health impacts were not that well known, and the scale of addiction potential was not very much considered. However, during TikTok's growth phase in 2019 to 2021, there was emerging evidence of a teen mental health crisis. Addiction patterns were becoming much clearer and misinformation was widely spread. Yet, there was very minimal design changes. Growth was still prioritized, and this can be categorized under willful ignorance. From 2022 to 2026, the present, it's known that there are documented harms, there's significant regulatory scrutiny, and there's internal research as well. However, the lack of action to ameliorate all of these things means that it has moved from willful ignorance to willful evil. So the theoretical analysis here, let's start with myopia or short-sightedness, an inability to foresee these long-term ramifications that exist within complex systems. How exactly does this manifest? There's a focus on immediate key performance indexes like engagement retention rather than long-term user outcomes. There's also compartmentalization, so algorithm team optimizes click-through rates while the user interface design team optimizes flows. No one really owns a holistic impact here. There's also a failure to anticipate societal scale impacts. There's a move fast culture that leaves no time for long-term prefiguration of risk analysis. How do we connect this to lecture 3? It creates a cognitive limitation that prevents the foreseeing of long-term ramifications and chains of causalities in complex systems. So this is actually amplified by groupthink effects, organizational silos, and then incentive structures. The result is you have local optimization within the system itself, but that comes at the expense of global well-being. So let's also look at emergence in socio-technical systems. Viral challenges have emerged. Some have been very dangerous, like the Tide Pod or Benadryl challenges, and there are also increasing radicalization pipelines being created. There's also a cultural phenomenon. New forms of expressions, communities, and social norms have emerged. How do we connect this to lecture 3? Various unexpected changes just happen in complex systems. They cannot be predicted by analyzing parts in isolation. TikTok's algorithm, its massive number of users and diverse content means that there is massive complexity. So some of these harmful outcomes are genuinely unpredictable. But once they have emerged, the failure to actually address them has shifted that natural evil towards a willful evil. The third thing we're going to look at here is techno-solutionism. How exactly does this manifest in TikTok? The problem is framed as we need to connect people with content that they love. The solution is to build the world's best recommendation algorithm. However, what is missing is a question of, is the algorithm actually going to solve this problem? Should this problem actually be solved at all? The assumption is that if we maximize computation, we will create value, and this ignores societal complexity. When problems then emerge, we use more AI to detect the harmful content. However, is it really solving the problem? A collective bias that most problems can be remedied by technology is what is causing this. We're rushing to solutions even before we understand the problems. The cultural narratives in this design then are move fast and break things, data-driven objectivity, and technological progress. These narratives create professional culture where ethical reflection takes the backseat to technical achievement and business metrics. There's also the function creep and transitions. TikTok has evolved over the years. In 2016-2017, it was a fun lip sync app for users. There was short entertainment videos, but up to this time, it's more engaging. There's news source, political information, there's economic value, shopping destination. It's used for education, social movement organizer. It has evolved significantly over the years. The consequentialist perspective here looks at TikTok's utilitarian argument, looking at creating the greatest number of good for the greatest amount of people. However, this ignores the disproportionate impact on vulnerable individuals in terms of mental health, polarization, misinformation, harm to minorities, for example. The deontological perspective looks at this as acting in such a way that you don't use humans as a means to an end. TikTok violates this in several ways. It uses its users as a means to an end. Users become inputs to algorithm optimization and ad revenue generation. It also violates the autonomy of users because they don't actually opt into these addictive choices or addictive patterns. They are engineered into them. The fourth analysis here is on the virtue ethics perspective. There are several virtues that are lacking in TikTok's design: prudence, modesty, others orientation, constructive criticism. We need these values to ensure that we make the platform more safe for people. Synthesis from accidental to willful evil. In 2016 to 2018, it was accidental evil. We did not have much knowledge about this. There was myopia, it was still emerging, techno-solutionism was at play, and there was power without a significant amount of understanding. However, from 2019 till now, it has evolved into willful evil, as the harms have been documented, has been significant research. However, TikTok is now using its power without charity and using its users as a means to an end without prioritizing them. So it's being evil by necessity and being evil by intention. It's intentionally designed to be evil. Key takeaways here. Design basis analysis reveals systematic prioritization of business metrics over user well-being. The concepts of myopia, emergence, techno-solutionism, cultural narratives explain how well-intentioned designers can produce harmful outcomes, and all three ethical theories identify serious problems with TikTok's design approach. This case illustrates urgent need for virtue cultivation in designers, regulatory intervention, and fundamental rethinking of attention-based business models. The real problem of humanity is the following. We have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. Thank you very much for listening.